Welcome to Perfectly Paranormal, Episode 10. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And I have an interview for you today with Elizabeth, who wondered if she was going crazy after moving into a new home. The doors would constantly get stuck. One window would have to be prized open with a crowbar and would mysteriously seal itself again. And the invisible presence in the bedrooms at night was totally unnerving the whole family. And then I'm going to share with you some of the technology tricks that dark energy beings use to stop people from communicating. I experience these many times when I am working with overseas clients. These beings have some really sneaky tactics that I am onto. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the content of this podcast, and you don't want to miss any future episodes, please subscribe. And you can share with your friends so we can get the message out there. We can spread the message about these paranormal pranksters and what they get up to in our homes. I would really appreciate it. So let's now get into our interview with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what made you feel that you needed a house healing or a house clearing?
Yeah, thanks for having me here today. So I just wanted to talk about the why, and what really led me to you is I was feeling like something wasn't quite right at home, and in the home itself. I'll do my best to describe it. So I felt a little bit irritable in certain parts of the home, more than others, and I really believe that home is where you're meant to feel comfortable, feel safe. And no matter what I did, and I tried a few things, I still just had an inkling and a feeling like something was off. So, for example, I changed my bedroom around in different ways. I still felt like there was something watching me in different parts of the room. My room, I changed rooms, so I had that ability in the home that I was living in at the time to be able to move bedrooms, because there was quite a few spare rooms, and I still felt the same in almost every room, but especially when I was asleep, I felt like someone was watching me, or that there were people watching me, whether it was in the doorway, at the end of my bed, near the window. And there was in particular one end of the house that felt quite cluttered, that particular end of the house. And some confirmation for me, when I first moved into the home, I really struggled to open the door, and on occasion, like it was an old house, and unable to open the door properly. And with old houses, there's this general swelling that you have of the door and around the outside of the door. Even on hot days when the door wasn't supposed to swell, it would swell. Cold days, same thing. So I was sort of noticing a pattern that that door was really tough to open. Also, there was one window that I made my bedroom, like when I first moved in, we actually had to open it with a crowbar, because
Wow.
it's an old wooden window with the fine panel glass in it, and traditionally it would have slid up and down. And I tried with all of my might to open the window, and I had other men that were quite well built try to open the window, and they were unable to. And these are physically fit men, quite muscly, renovate for a living in that sort of building industry, if I'm painting a bit of a picture there. Couldn't open it. They got a crowbar and were able to crack one side to be able to open it, and then really struggled to prise the other side open with the very same crowbar. They opened it, and it felt like something was holding the window shut, but they were able to just get it open and then really struggled to wriggle the window up. So that's the type of force that they had to use. And, if I didn't open that window or have it open, every couple of days, the window would actually seal itself shut again and we'd have to get a crowbar out. It wasn't as tough to open, but it was a bit strange. So, yeah, I kept that window open, but I still felt really odd in that room. I even put my daughter in that room, had her bed around different ways, move the bed, but she'd wake up, say in the night, and say she felt like someone was watching her. And there comes a point where you're starting to feel off in a room, and you have your child telling you something. And children that are younger than 5, generally I've found, I have quite a few children, they don't make things up unless they are, they might have watched something on TV and they're going to say something to you. But in this particular instance, I really had to believe my daughter because I felt the same. She also couldn't sleep in that room in the dark. I had to have lamps on. I tried lots of different lights, types of lights, positions of the room. So that was just in that very room. And when I had her in a different room, she was a little bit unsettled, but not as much as, say, in that actual room itself. So, for me, moving into that house, it was just like, okay, well, there's, these rooms don't feel so good. So, yeah, as I said, we tried moving around, but I still was unable to get through a night fully from, the minute I closed my eyes to me getting up of the morning. I'd never really wake up refreshed. I always felt somewhat irritated and exhausted. And I'm sure my social circle would confirm that as well, that it's like I was always quite moody. And even my kids had some unexplained behavioural changes. Like I appreciate, kids go through different things. Food can affect how you feel and what your energy output is for the day. But my kids we were really watching what they sort of ate, my partner and I. And there were different days, different times, different things that were like, no, it's not the food, there's something else happening. So for me, I started to ask questions. I went to GPs and, I was asking questions of my children, got onto dietitians and didn't notice much of a change with food. And, when we were able to eat that food in different places and then, struggled when we're at home, it's like, what is going on? I really started to ask questions that, just for something sort of deeper, especially when, that agitation grew in different parts of the home. I tried, saging the house, and you light it and you say a little something and, you walk around your house and do it. I kind of felt like it wasn't doing anything even when I did it. I tried moving objects around the house to get that feng shui sort of happening. And no. I even tried counselling to see if there was something, for my moodiness and a bit of my agitation. And it ended up turning into a little bit of anxiety in the end because I was so sure that there was something else going on, and no doctor could see or believe what was this underlying feeling. And, in the end they started saying, maybe it's your lack of sleep. I'm like, well, I have lots of kids. So, I reckon it could be, possibly linked, but I just knew in my heart, when I quietened my mind, that there was something else that I couldn't physically see, but I suspected. So I did a little bit of investigative work and found you, Anna, and what a report I got. What a clearing you did of the home, which, you ended up confirming later on.
Just a question for you, Elizabeth. Oh, what did your partner notice or feel? Did he communicate his thoughts or feelings about living in the home?
I think, like looking back, it's not something that we really sort of made it a focal topic or a talk topic, because we both didn't really want to bring attention to some of these things. But, when I'd mention something, he'd confirm it. And I'd say to him, hey, so I feel a little bit odd here. Can we try and move the bed here? Can we try and move the bed up against the wall? No, we need to pull the bed off the wall completely. Let's try the bed in the middle of the room. Let's put a light over here. And he was the one helping me move things around the room. And I remember turning to him at one point and saying, you must think I'm crazy to be, like trying all of these different things to try and feel comfortable. And he said, you know what? I don't think you're crazy. I think what you're saying is valid. And he would validate how I felt.
So quite often what I find as a house healer or a house energy clearer is that homes absorb the energy of the previous owners. Every single interaction that a person has in a home creates a vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that vibration can be imprinted into what I call the structure of the building. So positive interactions and emotions and feelings, they're a higher vibration. So we feel those and they're in the environment. The negative, harsher energetic imprints that people create through their thoughts, their words, their actions towards themselves and others, if they're negative, they can actually be absorbed into the structure of the building. So an example is I was recently working on a house, and this is a lady in America, and she has energetic imprints from 25 years ago of particular traumas that people have gone through, particular emotional imprints, things like hostility, rage, anger, that have created these really heavy build-ups in the home. And the lady that bought this house, she's like, I don't know what it is about this property. It looks great, it feels terrible. And when you do a walk around, when you go in, you're looking at buying a property and you do a walk around and you think, yeah, I really like this. Great backyard, great layout. You don't really get a feel for the property until you actually move in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your senses and your emotions and your behaviours, your pet's behaviours, your family's behaviours may change, their sleep patterns may change.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all from the previous owners or the previous tenants' negative emotional imprints that are in the property. And you wouldn't believe how many people buy properties and then they move in and all of a sudden it's just like it's a total change in their family dynamic. And they can't work out what it is because the only thing that's changed is the fact that they've moved into a new home. Jobs are the same, kids are at the same schools, everyone's still on the same emotional level in the family, but there's something that's not quite right. And this is where I focus a lot on the emotional energy imprints and the trauma imprints that are created by the previous owners, as I mentioned, but also the paranormal beings that are drawn to feed off those build-ups of the imprints. And that is what you would have been feeling in your home, is like someone's watching me, because there literally is someone watching you, but you just can't see them. They don't have a physical body.
No, yeah. And trying to explain that to people that have medical qualifications really start to question your family mental health and whether or not other mental health challenges are prevalent in the family, because traditionally in medical terms, somebody that can see someone that nobody else can see, well, can you hear voices too? That's generally the next question. And
Absolutely.
if schizophrenia runs in your family, then they might think you're showing signs of that. And when that's not in my history, in my family history, and I'm saying to a medical practitioner, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I feel when I try and sleep at night, they try and open up layers of you that don't actually exist, that don't actually need to be touched, because they can't fathom what is going on. And it's almost like you get accused that you have a mental health disorder. And look, I'd like to say that openly and just say, look, I appreciate that there are people that do suffer from mental health, issues that have been diagnosed that are requiring to have medication. And, I'm an advocate for that. And I went through so many different types of, holistic practitioner healings, mental health, counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists. It wasn't working. That's why I was really, I say, praying, like openly, like, universe, I believe it's something else. Please lead me someone that is going to, one, believe me or confirm what I'm going through, or that it isn't just me. Like, what is going on? What else is it? Look, I really believe that if there's something going on, you've got to investigate every single thing and peel off the layers and find someone you trust. And the universe led us together, and I'm quite a skeptic. Look, I can read people as well. Like, I can pick up on people's vibes and their emotions and their feelings and their intentions. And a lot of people I've met, I don't want anything to do with. When I met you, I knew that you were the real deal. You were someone that I had to meet, because I literally explored every single avenue.
Well, it's fascinating because as a paranormal specialist, I never ever assume that an issue is paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
I will send clients to see their medical doctor, their mental health doctor, naturopaths, whatever medical or mental health avenues they want to explore. Please do that. But if they don't fully solve the problem for you, then it's got to be an energetic cause as part of it. I always say to people, it's a holistic approach. Medical, mental health, then your energetic side of it. Because we are energy beings in these physical bodies. I talk about this all the time on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be doing it through my podcast. I will be reaffirming to people that we are energy beings in these physical bodies, and we are affected by the energy around us just as much as we're affected by food and by the physical environment and by the choices that we make. These paranormal beings are part of our environment. All paranormal beings, whether they are dark or demonic beings, are energetic feeders. They feed off the lower vibrational emotions that we create, the build-ups of these emotions that we create. It is as simple as that. It's a really simple message, is that you walk into a place and you're like, that feels weird over there, and you don't want to go there. It's because there's an energetic being there that your body is warning you, don't go there, otherwise you're going to feel really unwell. So the body your body contains this energy body, and your energy body is pinging off and saying to the physical body, just don't go over there. You're going to regret it. You're going to feel unwell. You're going to feel unsettled. You don't know what you might take home. So this is when you're in that outside environment. When you buy a new home, you literally do not know what the people who have been in the home before you have been doing.
Yeah.
I clear a lot of homes where people have been... Now, anything I talk about today is going to be in excess. So, yes, you can have a wine with dinner. You know, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 wines a week. I'm talking about bottles and cartons. People who do alcohol to excess, or they're doing marijuana or other recreational drugs, or they're gambling, or they're hoarding. Anything that is a lower vibrational activity is going to leave an imprint in the home. And that imprint, when those people move out and move on into another home, they've left that imprint behind. And the people that move into that home, it depends on how energetically sensitive some people are. I've known Elizabeth now for quite a few years, and we're very similar. We're both very energetically sensitive.
Yeah.
And there's a few other people that I know that just pick up these energetic changes in the environment. Other people are totally impervious to it. So, Elizabeth, can you tell us what your home felt like after you had the energy clearing?
Yeah, so it was like you know, when you sort of do a spring clean of your house, so it just felt really like it was a pleasant, peaceful place to be in, the way a home should feel. And I say that word should, and that's my own opinion. I think, though, that you need to feel comfortable in your home, and that's definitely what I felt. And my energy remained consistent. Every single room I went in, every window I stood next to, and the windows, that window in particular, opened so much easier, like nothing had ever happened to it. The door didn't stick and wasn't tough to open anymore. It was just opening freely. The kids' moods were, they were kids again. They were sleeping all night long in their beds. It just felt like that air was clear and you could breathe easy. It didn't feel like there was any densities or change in the room as you walked in. And another way to sort of explain that is that the heat was evenly distributed throughout the home effectively, with no cold spots, or I didn't feel weird when I stood in a certain spot. I no longer felt like there was someone, something, or people watching me at the foot of my bed or in the hallway or anything like that. So yeah, it was noticeably different. I even felt like I wanted to have people come over, whereas prior to that, I didn't want to share my space with anybody other than my own family. Yeah, I just sort of wanted to keep to myself prior to that, whereas, don't get me wrong, I was still selective of who I wanted in my space, but I actually wanted to open my home up to have people over for coffee and cake or play dates with the kids. Yeah, it was really pleasant.
So I know you don't actually live in that home anymore. You've moved out recently within the last couple of months. And the house clearing that we're discussing today was probably, I don't know, about 12 months ago, roughly. So in that time frame, in the months that followed after the clearing was done, did you find that there were consistencies with the changes in the energy of the home?
Yeah, and it felt like too, we didn't realise how deep your clearing work had gone. You know, for example, we were getting outside a lot more as well, and we were able to uh, have vegetables grow as well, which I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but that wasn't really happening because we didn't really want to be outside. We didn't really want to do any of that. So, you know, we started to, you know, have barbecues outside as kids wanted to play outside, whereas prior to that, they just didn't. It was really, really difficult to explain. It's like we just, yeah, it was just a tough place to sort of be in. And then as we started seeing us get outside a lot more, that's where we started to realize that, you know, we can rest, we can call this home, we can breathe easy, we can enjoy each other's company, we can enjoy different foods again. Yeah, it was quite a profound impact. You know, you get a report from you, you know, you send it via email, and you're always available to talk through any of it, you know, on the phone or, you know, or via email. And, you know, respectfully, I read the report and I went through it bit by bit by bit, and it was like confirmation after confirmation after confirmation as to why I felt the way I felt. And you feel like a completely different person, and your family dynamic changes, and almost everything about your being and your energy changes. It's like you start rediscovering yourself. So yeah, those effects are felt months and months later, definitely.
So, Elizabeth, if someone said to you 10 years ago that you would be having a house clearing done, what do you think you would have said?
I think one of the first things I would have said is, are you serious? What is that? And I would have found it quite bizarre because, you know, apart from clearing out rubbish out of your house, what's a house clearing? um, you know, I'm quite, you know, seeing is believing, and I feel a lot of things as well. So I quite like going down the scientific perspective, you know, that all things do have energy, including, you know, furniture, people, the universe. I hadn't yet comprehended until, you know, recently that everything is a vibration, everything has a frequency, and how that would actually, you know, go into a room, say someone had a fight and some energy fell off them and went into that spot where they were previously standing, I would have wondered what book they'd read or what they'd taken to even say such a thing, really. It's just like, really? You for real? Like, that sounds like some sci-fi that you've been watching. Like, yeah, I would have found it so odd. Like, prove to me, give me your evidence, show me, who's done it before, where can I read up information on this to see that it's a thing.
The thing is, you can't prove it tangibly because you're working with energy. So it is that
That's
other
right.
factor of, when I talked about seeing your doctor, your mental health professional, and looking at the energetic aspects, you've got to look at things holistically. But people don't value or believe that in energy until they actually experience it. So, Elizabeth, if I was to ask you what you think your 3 key takeaways are from having your house cleared, what would they be?
I think the first one is you don't know what you don't know, and being informed and aware of how energy can affect you is key to living that conscientious and purposeful life. And, to sort of translate that is, if you have tried everything, or if you have a little inkling, or there's part of you that thinks it's something else, maybe that, you can't rationalize or express to a professional such as a psychiatrist or a psychologist or even your partner, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes just listening to that little voice that says inside you, I think it's something else, and doing your own investigative work and finding someone like Anna, which I don't think there's anyone else quite like you, Anna.
I know I'm in a universe all of my own.
Yeah, you're one of a kind. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it's hard to find someone as honest as you. And when you do, you'll know that you've done the work. You'll know that Anna's done the work. So, yeah, which is my next takeaway is trust is key. For me, as I'd said earlier in the piece, I'd had encounters with other people that claimed to intuitive work and energy work, and I felt straight away like something was off, something wasn't quite right. Trusting yourself. And I know, Anna, that you do a check-in, I think it's a couple of days later or sometime later, and you check in, and you might fine-tune the space and just do a final check. Something else might have come up or what have you. And I know that's part of your work is you check in. Moving forward, I'd be working with you to check in every 12 months to 2 years or so, especially if I found something different that comes up. But it's trusting that work's been done and continuing your life in a positive direction and just making sure like everything's okay, you're safe, this is your house. And the last one, it kind of ties in the other two I've previously mentioned, is make sure you know who is doing the work. And, previously I've been a seeing is believing it sort of person with, someone's cleaned your house. Show me the pictures that they've cleaned your house. Where did they clean it? I'll hire that cleaner. I know when we speak in the work you've done, I've always felt believed, respected, like you understood me, and like I just had to say, here's a photo of my house. Here's the floor plan. Go for it.
Thank you. That's amazing. I really appreciate that confirmation and that acknowledgement of the work, because it's hard work. People see me sitting with a pendulum and they're like, oh, is that all you do?
Oh, no.
I'm like, seriously, to clear a house that has maybe 2 floors and, it might have a shed and a few outbuildings, it can take me up to 20, 25 hours sometimes, and it is constant. When you open the doorway into the paranormal world that is in people's homes, these beings see me. They actually come to my house. Like, I'll give that example of the lady in America, is that when I was having the initial conversation with her about doing a house clearing, The beings were in my home checking me out. But I speak it as I see it. I understand how paranormal beings work. I've been working with them for a very long time. I don't know everything about them, but I know a lot more about them than a lot of other people. I know that sounds like ego, but I have to know about them because they can be quite dangerous. They can be detrimental to my health, to hiding in my home, to, affecting pets, all that sort of thing. But they value respect. It's an interesting thing. Most people think of the devil or Satan or demons or dark energy. They're going to hurt you. They're going to throw you across the room. They're going to lift up your coffee table and hurl it against a wall. It's all utter rubbish. If you disrespect them, they will affect your sleep. They will affect your dreams. They will get in your face. They'll affect the electricity in your home. Quite often, like Elizabeth was saying, is that when house clearings are done, there's a lot that comes up that I'm very honest in my reports about what I write, about what is there. Now, sometimes these energetic imprints aren't from previous owners of the home. They're actually emotions that the people living in the home now have created. So I'm there's no judgment. I just write down exactly what I find, where it was created and when it was created. And then I talk to people about, say, we'll use the example of worthless. If there's huge amounts of worthless in a home and it's from after the people moved in, and say it was a female that created it and you're the only female in the house, and they'll say, I've created this. And I'll go, yep, there's no judgment from me, but you need to think about your life, your lifestyle, your life choices. Do you need to see a counsellor? Do you need someone to be able to talk through your problems so that you're then not creating worthless, not bringing it home and then imprinting it into the furniture and into every room that you go into? When you acknowledge what you create, you're actually growing and evolving as an energy being, as a physical being. You're changing the way, as Elizabeth talked about, how her home changed. You're actually finding you're getting changes within yourself as well. Yeah. And you don't create worthless because you recognize the trigger situations that actually create the worthless. If we can lessen the negative emotions that we create, we're benefiting ourselves, our relationships with our partners, our workmates, our families, the properties that we live in, the cars that we drive. Everywhere you go, you leave an energetic imprint. It is as simple as that. Well, I'd like to say thank you to Elizabeth for sharing her time and her experiences with us today. I think it's been great. This is my first interview, so it's been a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think we've had some fun and we've talked about a lot of paranormals, which is my favourite topic, and a lot of house clearing information. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Elizabeth today. You would be surprised at some of the goings on that people have happening in their homes, and they just can't find a rational cause for it. Now let's look at some of the sneaky espionage tactics that dark energy beings use to stop us from communicating with each other. Many of the following examples I'm going to share with you today I've experienced myself when connecting with prospective house healing clients. So number 1, this is quite common. Emails will end up in spam folders, social or promotional folders in your email server. These sneaky beings somehow seem to be able to manipulate where these email communications go. I can't tell you how they do it, but many, many times I've had people email me going, I'm waiting for your response. And I'm just looking puzzled at their email. And then I'm like, I need to check all the other folders. And there is the client's email hiding in another folder in my email server. So number 2, the audio won't work on online meeting platforms. This has happened many times. Big sigh. You know, you're getting ready to talk to a client and all of a sudden either your audio won't work or they don't seem to be able to get their audio to work. And when they finally do, I was on this platform yesterday and it worked perfectly fine. And we have a little giggle about the paranormals and how they're trying to sabotage our communication. So number 3, batteries can suddenly go flat in your computer or your computer mouse, and you can't find the charging cord and you just don't know where you've put it. Now, this is a bit of the brain fog. These are some of these brain fog tactics that these beings like to use to stop people from communicating. So when you're aware of it, you can just calm yourself down, relax and go, okay, now where did I leave that cord? Where is that spare packet of batteries that I know is in the house? So number 4, sometimes people's screen images for no reason will just freeze or they'll drop out altogether. You know, these paranormal beings will use any tactic that they can get their grubby little hands on to stop people from communicating. So number 5, sometimes you can experience sudden random problems with your modem connection. You know, it's been fine for days, weeks, months, and all of a sudden it starts playing up. Now, I can talk from my perspective is that I know these technological difficulties are 90% of the time caused by the paranormals, because that is my focus. The paranormal world is where I work every single day. So I know these tactics, some of the sneaky little things they get up to. And I do wonder sometimes if they do it just to watch us squirm. They just want to have a giggle. They just want to have a laugh. And I'm like, seriously, dudes, please connect me back to Zoom again, you know? So number 6, sometimes people can experience sudden, unexplainable power blackouts. Now, you know there is something going on if it is just in your house and you look out the window and all the other houses have got all their lights on, the street lights are on. You know that it is not part of a major power grid blackout. It's just in your home and it's just since you've been talking to a particular person, such as a house clearer, an energy healer of some sort. This is where these energy beings will use their abilities to be able to manipulate electrical energy and our technology just to stop us from communicating with each other. Now this one, number 7, I have had this happen quite a few times. I use online payment transfer systems and quite often the emails will get lost or there's a disrupted connection or the payment transfer doesn't go through. And the client will be saying, I keep trying to send you the money, but it just won't work. So then what I say to them is, look, don't worry about it. We will work out another way to get this to happen. All right? There's always multiple ways to get around these sneaky espionage tactics of these paranormal beings. So in episode number 11, we are talking sex demons, but not in a frightening way. We're going to explore a different perspective about what draws these particular energy beings to people and why. And I'm going to share 2 real-life stories about these beings and how they can affect people's lives. And you might be surprised about the outcomes of these stories. So stay tuned. I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting episode. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget to send me your paranormal questions and stories you'd like to share with the world. Email me at spiritualbeing5 paranormalstories44@gmail.com. And for more information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website. The web address is in the description box. I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.